Welcome back to our monthly feature series where we interview esteemed members of the AAC community to learn more about their path. Today, I'm honored to be joined by none other than the AAC Chair herself, Michelle Chan. What better way to start off the new year? I won't waste any time, Michelle. I'm going to dive straight into our questions here. And we're going to kick it off with question number one. Why is the AAC important to you, and how did you first get involved?
Sure. So I was always an active member in undergrad and law school at Fordham. I was one of those students. So after I graduated, it seemed pretty natural to stay plugged into the community. I found AAC and was a general member at first, but then after the murder of George Floyd and the increased social discussion around that, and then also the increased anti-Asian American sentiment around COVID, I got more plugged in. I spoke with Brenda Gill, who's the founder of AAC and the current president of the FLA board, about ways that it would be helpful to see more APAs involved in leadership in the AAC. I sort of let her know that I was like, well, I'd love to be more involved, but I don't see any people that look like me. So this organization at the time, my perception was that it was for Black and brown, like Latino and Black students and alumni, and I didn't really see myself. And her response was, well, why don't you put on some programming, help us learn more about the ways that we can help one another and be allies. And so I worked with her and Judge Chin to put together a program or training around the history of APA discrimination in America. And just from there, got more increasingly involved.
Love that. Shout out AAC founder Brenda Gill. How does involvement in the AAC benefit you personally and professionally?
I think that getting involved in the AAC really helped me expand my network in a way that felt natural. I personally don't love networking events. I think that oftentimes when you go to them, it feels very transactional, and everyone, like, you walk in and you feel this desperate air of people just trying to get something, or get their card out there. It feels like you're like a kid collecting Pokemon cards in a boardroom with bad drinks and bad food. And I would so much rather find a shared purpose with our community. And so I think AAC really has that, right? Like, you have a broader purpose of helping lift up others in our community, um, and help the law school and the students. And that's so much more meaningful. And if you so happen to meet people that way and build your network in your community, so much the better.
Yeah, and that's what organizations like the AAC are all about, right? Building community. Please share some color on your career path. What lessons have you learned along the way?
Sure. So I started my career at PwC in 2015 in a legal compliance consulting role with hedge and private equity funds. I really loved that experience. But in 2017, once the new administration took hold in DC, a lot of that work started to shift to just general financial services, compliance consulting, and then eventually management consulting, even into like insurance companies. And so I knew I wanted to go back to my law firm roots, or law school roots, and get some big law training. And because I had this amazing mentor, Bo Hee Yoon, who really helped me think about how I could pivot my resume, my cover letter, and everything to a law firm for a capital markets role, I was able to land a position there. So after spending a little over 3 years at PwC, I went to Hunton Andrews Kurth, where I was a capital markets attorney, specializing in debt and equity and securitizations transactions for public utility companies. And I spent just under 7 years there. I really, really loved it. And most recently, I joined Blackstone in their strategic partners secondaries business, where I'm in a legal compliance role there. And it's kind of funny, seeing how my work at PwC. I think that a lot of people probably initially disregarded it. It wasn't big law. It wasn't truly legal, right? But without it, I certainly would not have gotten this role at Blackstone. And it's been really wonderful to be in-house now. It's given me a broader experience, I think, being both buy side and sell side now, in my career, and seeing how I can apply even the capital markets experience to this in-house role at Blackstone. So I would say to others to keep an open mind on where your career path may lead you. You never know what experiences or connections will be beneficial down the road.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And that kind of brings us cleanly into our next question, which is what advice would you give to young attorneys of color as they navigate their careers, and how can they maintain a sense of community and connectivity with other attorneys of color?
Sure. I think that most important it is to be genuine, work hard. You got to take pride in your work. People aren't stupid. They can tell when you're being fake. If you're just out here trying to promote yourself, it doesn't sit well with most people. So be genuine in who you are and what you want. And then when you give work product, give good work product. Don't just try to push the plate around and pass off work that isn't really your best. Take the time that it needs to do good work. And then in terms of building community, I think it's important to find opportunities to lift others up. Um, I think so often people are worried about themselves and getting their name out there. But really, if you find opportunities to lift others up, you will build a community and those people will want to do the same for you when the time comes.
Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful. What moment during your tenure as chair made you feel most like this is why the AAC matters?
Sure. So last year we put on our annual Reuniting in Strength event, and we hosted it at the University Club for the first time. We had a full sit-down dinner at an offsite venue, and the AAC is 10 years old, or that was the 10-year anniversary, and so it was a really big deal. Of course, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of organization and fundraising, and we couldn't have done it with a lot of the assistance and guidance of our steering committee members, including Mike Blackshear, who was so helpful in getting us into the University Club in the first place, right? And so I think that seeing that event come together in April last year was so rewarding because you got to see people. We had like a packed room. It was wonderful. And people were reconnecting and building not just, business relationships, which I'm sure is there and great to see, but also personal relationships, reconnecting with old friends that they hadn't seen in a while. I think so often, as lawyers especially, we're so busy in the day to day that if you don't take time to actively meet others, you can miss out on people for a year or years. So giving people an opportunity to reconnect with each other, with the law school, and with this organization and give them a reason to keep coming back was really rewarding.
Yeah, certainly that Rise Award event was very rewarding, an opportunity to reconnect. Speaking of which, I'll throw in a shameless plug here. Join us again this year on April 9th for this year's Rise event. Next question here for you, Michelle. What initiatives and priorities do you hope the AAC continues to build on after your term as chair ends?
I think that it would be really rewarding to see us continue to connect young and more senior alumni. Um, you know, I mentioned that I recently left my firm to go in-house. And I think that I got a lot of guidance from more senior mentors, members of the AAC that I only would have met because of the AAC. Um, in making that transition because I became a mother in 2024. And so figuring out how to balance both a career and a home life was really difficult, and getting some guidance on what matters, where you need to get help, um, and what your career can look like, and what paths make sense, and what doors are open based on my experience and what I might need to get to fill those gaps was really, really helpful. Because you need to build those relationships over time for people to feel comfortable telling you those things. Um, and I think that the AC really, really helps me do that.
Thank you for sharing that. As you reflect on 2025, what stands out as the most meaningful professional moment for you?
As I reflect on 2025, I think that obviously making this change was pretty big, to go in-house. It's been really rewarding to see how my experience can be applied more broadly than I had initially anticipated. I think at a law firm, at least at my law firm, there was a lot of guidance and supervision by the partners. And once you're in-house, you get a little bit more room to spread your wings and a lot more expectation that you're capable of doing so. And so that was a challenge, but also really wonderful.
And looking forward to 2026, what are you most energized about as we enter the new year?
I think that I'm excited to see how the AAC can really prioritize its programming in response to what we're hearing from our membership. So whether that is more social programming around issues in our country and in our city, I think it's going to be really rewarding to see us respond to that. And I'm also really excited about Rise this year. We have a really wonderful slate of honorees, Bohee Yoon, Duval Thompson, and Natasha Carbajal Evangelista. Obviously, Bohee is my mentor, so I'm really, really excited to see her be celebrated. I unfortunately won't be there because I'm due to give birth probably 2 weeks before our Rise event, but I would encourage everyone else to come out and celebrate. And I know that it'll be a wonderful time.
Thank you, Michelle, for giving us some time out of your busy schedule. It has really has been an honor to learn more about your path and your connection to the AAC, and appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.